Okay, well, step one for installing your tiller assist, of course, is to get rid of the friction device that your motor currently has. So I'm going to remove the friction device from this outboard, and then we'll go on to the installation. I've pre-loosened some of the stuff to make it simple for illustration purposes, so you know, your friction device and your rod. And then now this arm that's connected to your outboard, we're going to use this same bolt to connect the tiller assist connecting arm, so keep this bolt and the nut attached to it. And again, these are pre-loosened, so you're going to need a wrench, obviously, as I did. All right, so there's your connecting arm. Here's your bolt. Save that. And basically, we've got your engine stripped of the current friction device. And the next step will be putting the tiller assist unit on your boat. A jam nut with a set screw. And so I'm going to remove this and put this in the engine through your tilt tube, which I'll explain, and we'll start the installation. Very simple. Okay, so the next step is we're going to install a connecting rod through the tilt tube of the engine, put on a jam nut and some spacers. Now, in the event you don't have 13 inches of clear space here, this is a two-piece rod that threads together. So you might have a transom or a splash well that doesn't accommodate sliding in a 13-inch rod. So you can screw this together as you go. But first thing is to install the jam nut. Now, it's important on the jam nut, you can see on this side there's a set screw. Set screw goes inward. So the set screw should be towards the outboard. So put this on your engine, set screw in, and it just threads on here like so. And thread it all the way in till it stops. And this is used as a jam nut to take the lateral movement out of the assembly. Okay, so that's installed, and then in this case, since we have clearance, we're just going to thread it together. But if you didn't, you just set this one in here, bring this one over, just hand tighten it because the two screws on the end will tighten it up. So now we're in. So now we have a group of spacers because every tilt tube might vary just slightly. In the case of this, we're going to put some spacers on this side, and I'm going to go around the other side, and I'm going to put some on here. And in this case, I'm just going to center it. So now I've got spacers on both sides. I'm going to have somebody help me put this on, and that's going to be Dave. And so now we're going to attach the unit to the outboard. And so it's going to require a screw on each side. So I'm going to give, and you could probably do this by yourself, but for the sake of what we're doing. So now we're going to put this up here. We're going to try not to knock the spacers off. There we go. And again, the Allen wrenches that are needed to tighten this will be included in the unit. Let me know when you're good, Dave. Got it on. You can just let the unit go down, and we'll tighten these screws. And these screws have Loctite built into the threads. Okay, so now the unit is mounted on the motor. But now, what was the jam nut for? You can see the unit moves back and forth a little bit. So by tightening the jam nut, I'm going to take that slack out and get it tight. Now it can't move. And in the jam nut is a set screw that you can tighten so that it does not move laterally, and there will be an Allen wrench included in that. So that's that step. So the next step is going to be to install the connecting arm to your outboard using the bolt that you removed from your outboard. So we're going to attach this to the outboard motor. And that's going to be and these the fittings on here don't allow you to over tighten it. So you can tighten this down. The bushings don't allow for over tightening and friction. So we can tighten this nice and snug. And you can see it moves free and easy. And then I'm going to put the nut in the washer back on top. And for the sake of what we're doing here, I won't tighten it down, but please do so yourselves. You tighten that on the top and off we go. So now we're connecting. Allen wrench necessary to do that. Other than running the wiring, your tiller assist unit's installed to your engine. On this side you have the solenoid, which will act as your braking mechanism. That's your needle valve to adjust the friction and the way the engine feels and move side to side laterally. Okay, so now we're going to wire the system. And so it's basically plug and play. You're going to have a cord to connect the normally open solenoid to power. And then you're going to have a switch to operate it. In this case, we made a short switch, so for illustrative purposes. Yours will obviously be longer. This will be a foot-operated switch. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect power to the battery. And so fuse side goes to power, black side goes to ground. So on my battery, power. This is our shop battery. It's been a tried and true friend. And there's a 5 amp fuse in this unit. So if you find your unit not working, we'll include an extra 5 amp fuse. I can't imagine that to be the case, but okay, we have power now. So now this solenoid or this Deutsch connector will plug into your unit. You're now wired for power. Now we've got to connect the switch. Switch is going to connect here. You're done. This foot pedal, and it's going to be tough to show you. Here, let me show you by doing. You can see I can move it like this. When I hold this, I cannot move the system. It's locked that direction. Move it. System's locked. As long as I'm putting pressure on the switch, the unit is locked. The millisecond I let it go, it's freed up. Power, can't move, free up, good to go. That's as simple as it is.